Hi, this is Jane Rodriguez, and I just want to say again, add a little bit more to the information that I let out there yesterday about Hollywood and the occult, and how pervasive it really actually is. The occultic influence on mainstream society and pop culture is all over the place, and here's one thing that you may not be aware of that's pretty unusual, and it connects to outer space. And if you ever follow the works of Michael Cremo and Forbidden Archaeology, or heard about the that's a music album, but the pyramid in Sidonia, Mars, the pyramid on Mars, the face on Mars. Now, it's a whole other kettle of fish, but briefly in a nutshell, I am a Christian, and I've studied and researched this topic and related topics extensively. As you know, you guys, I'm a musician, but I'm also into cryptozoology and the unusual. You guys already know that. So I've studied this topic and had experiences throughout my whole life, and I've really researched the heck out of it. And basically, from a Christian point of view, there is no discrepancy with reconciling this as a reality option for the world that we live in. So the pyramids on Mars and the face on Mars. Here you go. The Book of Enoch is an apocryphal book. The Book of Enoch describes what is called the Watchers. Now, all the ancient societies and empires, Sumeria, Phoenician, Egypt, they all describe a group of, all of them, all of the ancient ones that were something technologically and culturally mentioned the Watchers, and so did the Book of Enoch, which is the apocryphal book of the Bible. It describes the fall of Satan and the fall of the angels, how they are in charge of principalities. Now that's in the, Paul talks about principalities that are in charge of whole geographic locations, okay? These angels that fell with Lucifer, a third of them fell during the rebellion, and some of them mated with human daughters. Now that is in Genesis 6:8. They mated with human daughters, and their offspring were called the Nephilim. Okay, that's in Genesis. Now, what's in the Book of Enoch, it goes on into a greater description about giants and all the other genetic experiments that these fallen angels had with God's creation. Now, that's what Satan does. He takes everything that God did and inverts it. Antimatter. Matter, antimatter, He takes everything God does and twists it. Because he's not original. He's not a creator. He's a destroyer. He's a liar. Okay, so think about all that with our modern culture, okay? Anyway, so, it's very feasible that these angels have dominion over certain planets out there. And the theory out there with this hexagonal storm that's going on in Saturn, I learned about this a year ago or so. I didn't know about this. Then it connected the dots with the black cube cult of Saturn, Stanley Kubrick, his mysterious death, yada yada yada. There is indeed a perpetual hexagonal storm. It's a shape of a hexagon on one of the poles of Saturn, north or south, I forgot. And it's shaped like a hexagon, and it's always going on. Now, that's just weird enough as it is. Is it being manipulated by weather control mechanisms like we have here on Earth, Harp? I don't know. But the fact remains that it's still there, so that's also a shape of a cube. If you look at the hexagon and do it three-dimensional thingy, you'll see that it's shaped like a cube. So these Satanists and occultic practitioners that run society, they use that symbolism everywhere, and you got to ask yourself why. Well, when Stanley Kubrick made Space Odyssey 2001, he did want it to be Saturn. Now, the official story was about Saturn, and it's obviously a symbol for the human race, and it was during the Russian race to get, the space wars, and it was going to be Saturn as the planet that was depicted in the movie, but the official reason why it wasn't is because they didn't have the technology to make the rings of Saturn, which is total complete crap. If you believe that, that's a really weak lie. The real reality is that the elites did not want such an overt message. Now think about what Stanley Kubrick did the last film before he died. In fact, he died, and then the powers that be edited the last parts of this film that I'm about to say. Is called Eyes Wide Shut, and that fully depicts a ritual, a sexual ritual that they do, that they do, that they absolutely do. If you research any practices of pagan ceremony and ritual, especially dark magic, you're gonna see some pretty crazy stuff like that. And this is going back to ancient times. And it gets pretty weird and pretty terrible, actually. And it makes me quite angry when I think about it, because that's disgusting. What they actually do with children and other people, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But these are the types of people we're up against. And these are the types of people that want to make sure that you don't know what they're doing. But at the same time, they make these movies to flaunt it in your face because they think you're stupid. So, my urge to whoever's watching this is don't take my word for it, but to go look in on it yourself. Just look up symbolism in pop culture. You're going to get some hits and returns that look like they're kind of nuts. Some of them might be, but some of them have concrete, documented proof that you can see. Look, I can see this traces back to the Phoenician times, the Babylonian times, the Egyptian times. These are all symbols and practices that they've done forever. So I urge you to go look into that and wake up and realize that this is not a war that you fight with flesh and bone. It is eventually, but first and foremost, it's of the spirit and the mind. Peace.